Hey, I just wanted to share a quick story about something cool that had happened when I went to that new church recently. And it's kind of a random story, but I want to have a recording of it. Um, I had gone to the new church and I was late. And I was like, it's okay that I'm late because they do a 9 o'clock, like very traditional, and then they do like an 11 o'clock, like super, like not traditional, right? And I was going to the early one, 9 o'clock, and I was running considerably late, but I felt like that was okay because I was just gonna miss a lot of boring stuff in the beginning. And so I was watching the church service on my YouTube as I was driving, and then getting out of my car and kind of walking up in the parking lot so I could hear what part I was at, what were they doing inside the building. So I knew when it would be okay time to go in the doors and not interrupt anything, and then also so I could not miss out on what was happening. Um, so I had my phone in my hand, and I had just gotten out of my car and was walking in the parking lot. And you could hear, like, I don't know if it was the choir or whatever, there was singing, right? From my YouTube on my phone as I'm walking through the parking lot, going up to go in the doors. Meanwhile, I was parked kind of far away because, I was there late, and so everyone else got the good spots. But anyway, then there's this ambulance in the front, and I'm like, okay, someone's gonna be put in the ambulance. Like, something went down at church, like before church even really started. What happened here, And then as I'm walking up, then they eventually wheel out this lady on a stretcher to put her in the ambulance. And I could tell she was kind of like an elderly woman but I was still pretty far back. And I don't know these people. I don't know who they are. I don't know. This is like my second or third time going to the church ever. Like, I don't know them, right? But I was like, I could tell, I'm like, this person wasn't like a heart attack or something. It was something mild where they were interacting, but still significant enough where they're going away in an ambulance. Anyway, so I'm walking up, and then I had this urge, like, I just felt like I really want to wave at her, the elderly lady getting into the ambulance on the stretcher. And it was just like this feeling like I really want to wave at her, even though I don't know her. And then the other part of me was like, don't wave at her. Like, that's weird. Who waves at the lady in the stretcher going in the ambulance? Like, that's just, don't wave at her, right? And then I would just be like, I really want to wave at her. I just really wanted to wave at her. I really want to wave at her. It would be like this feeling. And then again, I would be like, don't wave at her. That's not normal. You don't wave at people getting into the ambulance. You don't even know her. She doesn't know you. Don't wave at her. And I didn't wave, right? And I kept feeling like, I really want to wave at her. It was just so strong, this urge to like wave at this stranger. Next thing I know, as I get closer up, she waves at me. And I was like, wow. And then I was like all excited. I was like excitedly waving back at her. Like, I was like, cut loose, right? Like, I could finally wave. I had been holding it in for so long. I'm walking across the parking lot. I could finally wave at her because she waved at me first. And then I thought to myself, like, I just felt so good. And then I thought to myself, like, was that the Holy Spirit? Was the Holy Spirit telling me to wave at her? And I was like, I'm not waving at her. And then the Holy Spirit was like, wave at her. And I was like, I'm not waving at her. And then this lady's clearly better at listening to the Holy Spirit than I am in her old age. And she just, without even probably restraining herself, just waved at me like a normal person. And then I got to wave back at her. So it was just this cool, like, thing that had happened. Like, how weird is that? How weird is it that I would be, like, overcome with this desire to wave at the stranger? And how weird is that the person getting into the ambulance on the stretcher took time out of their day in that moment to wave at me, a total stranger coming into church. Now, maybe she felt compelled to wave because I was listening to the music on the YouTube, and she probably could hear that it was like church is this way. She just came out of there. I'm coming in from the parking lot with church in my hand, and she can hear the choir music walking toward her on my YouTube. Like, maybe that inspired her to wave. I don't know. I don't want to read into it, but it was just kind of cool how that happened. And then after church, just the tidbit of the story, so I was in the restroom, and then some ladies were talking about, you know, someone had gotten taken away in the ambulance or whatever. Like, they clearly know her because it's their church. And then they weren't sure, like, is she okay or whatever. They were worried. And so then I let them know. I'm like, well, she waved at me. She waved at me when she was getting in the ambulance. And they're like, oh, like that made them feel better. Like, okay, maybe she'll be okay. Like, everything will be okay if she can wave. Because you don't know, you know, when this kind of thing happens, you don't know how the person is doing. So it was just kind of fun how that all played out. But anyway, and then I had asked them, I'm like, well, what's her name? Because I wanted to know, like, what was this lady's name? And then they told me, and then the church had sent out some email for prayer requests just recently, and her name was in there for recovering from a fall. And I was like, that is so, like, I just definitely have to pray for her now, because I feel like I know her even though I don't actually know her. But anyway, that's my story. I have other stories about what happened that day too, but we will save those for a different time. Have a good day. Bye.